What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another NBA Rundown, courtesy of Run Pure Bets and Run Pure Sports. Please like and subscribe to the video so we can continue to bring you solid gambling content. With me today, of course, as always, is Tyler and our guest, Travis Mangone. Travis, how you doing today?
Good. Excited to be here talking NBA hoops with you guys. We just got back from the small break that we had, and still tons of chaos and news. And it should be wild, obviously, with all of the all of the back to backs. It's going to be an interesting stretch here.
Yeah, I mean, if there's ever a great time to be a member of Run Pure Sports and watch that show that goes until lock with JSU and Holden, it's right now because stuff is changing on the minute, stuff is changing on the fly, and I'll say it from a DFS perspective, no lineup is safe until lock because this news is coming fast and furious. Tyler, how you feeling? I know that we're pretty upset about Memphis going over last night, but other than that, how you feeling today?
I mean, Memphis. Let's talk about OKC going into the fourth quarter, needing about 60 points, and no one could play defense.
Yeah, I mean, it was just unbelievable. I don't know why I have Memphis on my mind. That was OKC and Dallas that went over, and we were on it too live, and we thought we had such a great number, and then they failed to play defense. But regardless, these things happened, and we'll get back on track, and let's go ahead and jump into the slate today. So the first game on the slate is the Cleveland Cavaliers heading down to Louisiana to take on the New Orleans Pelicans. The Cavaliers are 14-22, and the Pelicans are 15-22. I'll tell you what, going back to our preseason projections, didn't expect them to be so close in record, and I also didn't expect this line to be so big. Cavaliers plus 7.5, plus 8, depending on what book you're looking at. We'll start with you, Travis. What do you think about this game? I'm looking at taking the points here. What do you think?
Yeah. Did you also expect Lonzo Ball to have made more 3-pointers than Trae Young so far this season? That's a stat I saw.
That's good knowledge. I didn't know that one.
I saw it on Twitter, right? Someone posted it, and I was like, that's incredible. And I think the shooting percentage might even be better. The true shooting, I forget which one it is, but pretty phenomenal to see what Lonzo has done and this Pelicans team. They obviously have some question marks, right? The Cavs, Larry Nance will be back, which will help their defense a ton. Kevin Love, he could obviously be back, and that could be really big for them. And questionable Darius Garland, right? So that could hurt. I know they have Quinn Cook that's just got signed. I don't know if that'll incentivize them maybe to, it's a 10-game contract, right? Does that incentivize them maybe to sit Garland? It could. I think I would want to be on the Pelicans train, right? Like, you and I talked about this a while ago, Spread. Like when they were rolling, like I was like, let's just stay on it, right? And they have really been rolling. I would probably still be on the Pelicans side.
Okay, so we're on opposite sides here. And speaking of that train rolling, what did you think of their performance last night? Because Minnesota took them to the woodshed.
Yeah, so like I get it, right? It happens. It's the first game back from the break, a little bit of a hangover, sure. Right? And people are probably saying, what do you mean they're rolling? They got killed by the Timberwolves. Yeah, it was definitely ugly last night, but I just kind of throw that away, right? It's the first game back from the break. It's hard to handicap. I feel like right. I don't know. Last night felt like the first day of the regular season all over again, right? Like you kind of gotten out of a rhythm of everything. So it feels like I want to get my sample size back that I've lost. But I still think I want to be on the Pelicans side. I understand why people might want to, jump off them, but I do think they're the better team. And you can make a case Larry Nance being back is going to help their defense, but there is still some question marks here. Like, is Garland in? Is Kevin Love in? You can obviously wait to bet it as well, or kind of read up on the practice reports and then kind of make your decision based on that.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me. So, Tyler, I like Cleveland. Travis likes the Pelicans. Who do you like in this game?
I got to go with Cleveland here. I can't back this Pelicans team. I mean, they're 2-10 against the spread as a home favorite this year, and they have losses of double digits to Minnesota twice, Detroit, and Houston. So they it's almost like when they play these shitty teams, they just play down to them and they just don't care. So in a spot like this, on a back-to-back, it's Cleveland or nothing for me.
All right, so Travis is with me. Tyler's with me here. The total, 228.5, seems a little low for the Pelicans game. They looked like they were going to soar over last night. I mean, the live totals were hovering right around 250, and they didn't even go over the pregame total, which was, I think, 236 or 237. Now, Travis, I know the totals are big when you're making your lineups here. Do you think this game goes over? And if so, does that mean that you'll have some guys in your lineup tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it is a lower total, right? And it's worth mentioning this is the first game on the slate, and I know it sounds like weird, right? Like if you asked anyone tonight, hey, Friday night NBA, what do you want to watch? And if you told me I can only watch one game spread, I want to watch Houston and Utah. Not because I like the game, but DFS wise, it's going to be a gold mine. It's going to have all of it. It's going to have all the Rockets. And I don't actually care what the final score is, but I'm going to have a lot of Rockets today. 8:00 game. It's one of the earlier games. Injury news could obviously affect it too much, where it's like we're getting too many guys back. I just don't need this game. This isn't just a necessary game for me. Right. Zion's also more priced up now. I don't love his price tag. A lot of these Pelicans prices have gone up because their production has gone up. Brandon Ingram has been a real nuisance in my life. I'll do my best to maybe avoid him. I know on FanDuel where you have to play two small forwards, he can kind of be a pain. But I don't think this is the best game. And with it, they're obviously being late swap, right? It's only a 7-game slate. It's not like an 11-gamer like yesterday. But hey, it's not one of those games I feel like I need to jump on.
Right, and I know you like to play the cash games, though. Isn't Zion an okay option there in the cash game because the floor's so high?
Yeah, I mean, the floor is great and all, but I also do like to have some type of ceiling. And at 9.1K, it's man,
I mean, can I just pencil him between 40 and 55 every night?
For the most part, except last night, of course, he got the 31. But yeah, he has been super safe and consistent. If you fell on Zion, I would not hate it, right? But he's not someone I'm prioritizing.
Yeah, it's hard to fall on 9,100 too. I mean, you got to be really a bargain shopping to fall on a 9,100, right?
Well, the way you fall on 9,100 today is you have all these Rockets, right? I mean, they're just everywhere. I mean, if there's no Oladipo, there's no John Wall likely. It's just going to be tons and tons of 3K, 4K Rockets in your lineups, and then it's going to be okay, I am falling on these random ranges of guys. So I just think, for instance, a good example of it is I get that they're not the same position, but they are both forward eligible, right? And typically if it's a guy you're falling on, maybe he's not going to land at the forward. But Jimmy Butler against Chicago at 9.2K or Zion Williamson at 9.1K against Cleveland. For me, that's an easy choice. I'll find the $100 and go Jimmy Butler.
All right. Tyler, props for this game. What are you thinking? And did you have a lean on the total?
I'd probably lean under. I mean, Cleveland's they're so troubled scoring.
They're the lowest scoring team in the league.
Yeah. But the only prop I'd look at here would be a Colin Sexton over. I mean, he's averaged 30 his last 5, and New Orleans has given up 28 points to shooting guards. Now, I don't see a number posted yet, but I'd expect it to be right around 24.5. But I think they're waiting to post that number with the news on Darius Garland.
All right. Yeah, and I see that Sexton's sitting here at 8,100. Might spend up for 83 to get Brandon Ingram instead. So that would be an interesting way to approach that game. Let's move on to the next one. And, boy, this should be a lot of fun. The 76ers, Embiid's probable. I mean, what else is new? And there will be no Ben Simmons. But, hey, they look pretty good without their 2 guys tonight as they absolutely rolled over the Chicago Bulls. Now they're taking on a Washington Wizards team that seems to have figured everything out. They were doing well going into the break. Coming out of the break, not so much, as they lost to Memphis by 15 in a game that barely went over where I was sitting on the under. That was not a lot of fun for me. But regardless, I think this was a tough one to cap because I think it's hard to use a model here when Simmons and Embiid are out. We only have 6 games, I think, with Embiid and no Simmons. And they've done all right, but he definitely is a loss. So, Tyler, what are you thinking? Are you leaning towards taking the plus 4.5, or are you going to lay the points with the road favorite?
Oh, I'd take the underdog here. Give me the 4.5.
Okay.
I mean, Philly in back-to-back spots this year, they're 0-5 against the spread.
Oh, wow. Good knowledge. I didn't know that one.
They've played Washington twice with Simmons and Embiid. Both of those games, one was separated by 5 points, the other one was separated by 6 points. Now you're going to take Simmons off the floor and maybe Embiid too. So I think Washington has a very good chance to win this game outright.
Yeah, and they needed after that showing against Memphis where they got absolutely ran off the floor. Travis, what are you thinking about this game?
Yeah, it's tough because the problem I have with Philadelphia, and like you mentioned the back-to-back, this isn't your typical back-to-back, I guess. I don't know what are the numbers with Embiid in or out, right? I don't know exactly how to handicap that part. And on top of it, Bradley Beal's questionable. So if Bradley Beal doesn't play, you're not happy with that number, right? The Russell Westbrook driving to the rim with Embiid there, that is not going to work out. I'll gladly, I'll gladly be on the Sixers side and sweat out the 3-pointers if Bradley Beal's not in. Again, that's what makes like betting like these games sometimes tough without having the news, because it can really go the other way and absolutely destroy you. So like, even like the last game, I said I like the Pelicans, but it's not like a strong lean for me. And it's because I just don't have news. There's nothing I can do about it right now. Now I can give you if-then statements. If Bradley Beal's in, I do think I want to be on this Wizards side. I think that makes a ton of sense to be on them. One thing to note is there's no Ben Simmons, right? And Ben Simmons would be someone that could really give them fits, especially someone like Russell Westbrook. That would be someone that would be a problem for him. Not having him definitely helps a ton, but I really need this news before I really think I even bet on this game. If you have a strong lean that Beal's going to be in, then I would be jumping on the Wizards. If you have a lean that Beal's out, then I want to be on the Sixers side. Don't think it's something you need to jump on, but maybe when that 5:30 injury report comes out, be logged into your sports book, ready to beat the book before they can take it down. If you are, looking at the, injury report, and you're looking faster than everyone else and looking on the, Twitter, you can beat them. I mean, it's tough. It's not easy, but you can get there and beat them. So that's kind of the way I would be approaching it today.
Yeah, it sounds good. And unfortunately, we won't be able to get to see the Ben Simmons versus Russell Westbrook 3-point shootout that we all expected from this game. So the total's 234. Do we expect a lot of points in this game, Travis? And if so, does that mean some of these players will be making it into your lineup? I'm assuming if Beal sits, there ends up being value on some of these other Washington players.
Yeah, there could be some. The problem with Washington is they don't run a tight rotation, right? That ship is just all over the place. You never know who is going to be playing. You wouldn't be shocked if Troy Brown Jr. played like 16 minutes out of nowhere tonight, even though, he's DMP'd a bunch of nights. Like, it just can be shocking what they do, You want to, I think, be on the Sixers side. You want to be on Embiid. Embiid is probably the best spend-up option on the slate. Probably my favorite option if I had to spend salary. And hey, I talked about those Rockets. We're going to need to spend some salary. So I think I'm going to be spending up for Embiid for sure. Obviously, it depends on how roster construction goes, but I'm currently leaning that I really like Embiid in my lineups. You can make a case for Tobias Harris, a little pricey over on DraftKings FanDuel. I believe he still has a better price tag. So he's definitely in play because when there's no Simmons, that can give him a nice little bump. If you do think there is going to be some type of blowout, you could make a case for some of these guys like a Tyrese Maxey off the bench. I wouldn't hate maybe going to him or Shake Milton if you really think it's going to be a blowout, but it depends how you want to build out your lineup and try and predict that. On the Washington side, if Bradley Beal is out, there is one guy, and he treated me well, so maybe I'm a little biased, but we're talking in the Run Pure Sports Discord chat. If you haven't gotten over to Run Pure, the Discord chat is a good time, and it was Gary who's been in the chat. He was saying, hey, if Beal's out, Neto could be interesting, and he dropped a nice little score for me when I had that big night. I could definitely go back to the well on him, and mainly because they're just thin at the guard position. And listen, I'm not saying that he's a great player or anything, but when they don't have bodies and they need him in there, he's going to play and he's able to handle the ball. And Scott Brooks likes having enough ball handlers out there, right? So I think it's a pretty good spot for him. On top of that, hey, it's a little revenge, right? If you're a guy that likes a little revenge, he used to play for the Sixers, right? So there you go. I don't know if it's the first blood revenge game too, but for those people out there in the DFS industry who love that, you gotta tip your cap to them and give them the heads up. Hey, revenge game, you got to be all over it.
Yeah, and Tobias Harris might not be too highly owned, right? As I noticed, he was 45% in the big tournament last night and put the big snowflake next to his name. So don't know how many people will be going back to the well with him. Tyler, what do you think of this 234 total? And did you have any props singled out for this game?
I'd probably lean under there. I mean, I just don't think this Philly offense will keep it going. Unless Embiid does play, then maybe he does put up an MVP performance, puts up 40-plus points. But, I mean, the only prop I'd be targeting here is Bradley Beal's if he plays. He's averaging 42 against Philly in his last three, which that is a bit inflated because he did hang 60 in his last game. Mm-hmm. But in the other two, he hung 36 and 31. They've been putting that prop rate at 31.5, so I'd go over on that.
And I'd like to just award you the Run Pure Bets Medal of Bravery for taking an under in a Pelicans game and then a Wizards game. I mean, you're willing to put it out all out on the line doing that because those are two tough teams to bet unders on. So you definitely get my credit and respect there.
Listen, if there's no Bradley Beal spread, it would be shocking to see the Wizards put up points, right? Like, I would not be shocked if that Wizards team really went hugely under. Like, I don't know where the scoring would come from. It's like Westbrook. How is he going to score on this Sixers team? I mean, I love playing him in DFS, but it's such a terrible matchup.
The ideal is just that he drives, draws attention, and kicks. and that Bertans and Rui, have good games from behind the arc. But no, you're absolutely right. And actually, now that you mention it, that might be a strategy. And it is a gamble, right? You bet the under 234 right now. If Beal's ruled out, that total drops like 5 points. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, it probably drops a ton. And like, honestly, something that we need to be doing, and like, it just kind of came into my brain, right? And this is something that can help you for not just today, for multiple days. Look to see what the Wizards' schedule is going to be. Like, Miami has 9 back-to-backs in like the next 2 months. Like, that's one team that
COVID cancellations.
Yeah. Yes, and a lot of these teams are going to be in some really rough spots where like sitting's going to be more optimal. Like even like Carlisle said yesterday, said like we're going to have planned rest days, and we're basically not going to tell you ahead of time. Like it's gonna get dicey here down the stretch, and I think like looking at schedules and trying to play a little bit of a guessing game. If that gives you, listen, you might guess wrong one time here and there, but if you guess maybe 10 times and you beat it about 7 out of the 10, like you're feeling really good about yourself and you're getting a huge edge there. So definitely be trying to do that. I think it's worth looking at. Maybe not as much like now, but maybe in like a couple of weeks, like once we kind of start getting more games moving.
No, actually, I agree because if you think about it, let's say you guess wrong and Beal plays, the under 234 is still in play. Philadelphia is a slower team in pace and one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. So you're taking a gamble, and even if it doesn't pay off, you're still alive, right?
Yeah. More we're talking, I like that under. Like I'm not even a totals guy, but it makes sense. I think talking it out with you guys and Tyler's on it, like seems like one I might have to put some money on.
Yeah, I think I might be jumping in there as well. So, and you know what? That's interesting that Carlisle says that, and I agree that there should be rest days. We know this is going to be a tough season. They're trying to jam everything in, and we see from the NFL the ramifications of the salary cap, why they're trying to do that, because otherwise there's going to be so many cap problems if they just don't have the revenue. I just disagree. Like, why are we hiding these things?
I don't know. It's just that's just what he said. Oh, we're not going to tell you. It's just.
I mean, in the regular season, these teams aren't preparing that much to begin with, right? I mean, it's the difference between in the playoffs, like these detailed scouting reports. In the regular season, they get 2 to 3 things to work on each player. That's it. Just 2 to 3 things. Like, hey, make this guy go left. Hey, he doesn't like shooting here, or he does like shooting here. That's all they get pregame. So I don't think that ruling Luka out 10 minutes before the game does much besides screws us over as gamblers and daily fantasy players. So maybe what's that guy's name? Adam Silver can jump in and help us out here, because I have no problem with them resting, but I would prefer that they had announced it. So let's move on to another team here's a team that's getting more healthy, but still missing one of their main guys. That's the Memphis Grizzlies at 17-16. They're playing the Denver Nuggets, who are 21-15. When I say they're still missing one of their guys, they're still missing Jaren Jackson Jr. has yet to make his debut. But other than that, this team is looking fairly healthy. I know Grayson Allen comes back today. On the Nuggets side, we're missing R.J. Hampton and Gary Harris. And Millsap and JaMychal Green are questionable. So start with you, Tyler. What are you thinking about this game?
I'd lean Denver on the side, but another one where I'd go under. I mean, these two teams have been playing great defense. They're both, you look at their opponent field goal percentage over the last 5, they both rank 4th and 5th. And then you look at their 3-point percentages, they're holding opponents, they rank 1st and 2nd. So, I mean, I just see defense all across the board in this game. The guards will be all over each other. Morant will cancel out Murray, and this will basically be Jokic versus Joe Val down low. So I like the under here.
All right, and I like Jokic in that matchup. If you tell me this game comes down to Jokic and Joe Val, so I like the Nuggets here, laying the points on the road. But Memphis has been popular with the market. Open at 3.5, bet down to 3. What do you think, Travis?
Yeah, it's tough because like Memphis, I definitely believe in them as like a team. Like they're way stronger than people understand, right? Like, sure, Melton's not like this like amazing basketball player, right? But he's like that depth on this Memphis team is solid all around. I do think this game could be pretty close. I would lean going on the Nuggets side. I'm surprised they've been better defensively. I would like.
Yeah, I know that surprised me too when he said that.
Yeah, I would probably want to look into that more because that they don't have like anyone really back that's like changed that. I guess maybe adding. I don't know if Zeke being at the 4 has like helped change that a little bit. I know Mike Malone talks about how his team can play defense when they want to. And like, if you're going to buy into that narrative, then hey, buy into the Denver starting to play better defense. But I would probably lean on being on the Denver side over the Memphis side here, especially if you
MPJ playing at the 4 and not getting toasted by small forwards all game.
I mean, that definitely helps. And if you think about like Memphis, like, who do you think could like really toast him? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't think Brandon Clark's going to put him. Yeah.
Exactly. Like a guy like Jaylen Brown and Tatum, if they're going against the Celtics, like, yeah, you can expect those guys to really just carve up a guy like MPJ, but I don't expect, guys like Brandon Clark to be doing that. I don't see Kyle Anderson really doing that. So I do think, like, even talking about like that, like, it makes me even like more the Nuggets side of the ball, I would think.
All right, and you talked about a spend up earlier. Is this the most expensive guy on the slate today? Jokic at 10-9. And, I mean, you like Embiid more than Jokic, assuming they both play. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, he's the highest spend up on the slate, Jokic. Now, I think Jokic is fine, but I think I prefer Embiid. It's Washington matchup is so good, right? It's tough to ignore. And there's no Simmons. We've seen this situation a ton. He should absolutely destroy in this spot. Obviously, if like Beal ends up being out, like, could that change my thoughts? Could I be a little worried that they are a little hesitant on Embiid? Sure, right? Like, that could have me a little worried. But I think I lean Embiid still. If you can jam both in, sure. Like, I mean, that's perfectly fine. But I don't know if that's going to be the type of slate to do that today. I don't know if I'm going to need to jam in Jokic and Embiid, but we'll see. Because I mean, we have a lot of Spurs value in the mid tier that we'll talk about when we get there. It's stuff you can't ignore.
All right, and Tyler, I mean, I think AP chose a good Friday to take off because that's 3 games and 3 unders for you. We know that AP doesn't roll that way. Do you have any props for this game before we go to the next one?
No, I actually don't have any props in this game. This was just that under for me in this one.
You're not going to go for that Jokic triple-double?
No.
The elusive triple-double?
his assists, I mean, he's gotten double-digit assists recently, but it's just been a lot lower.
The thing I hate about the assist prop is you need to know how they're going to defend him. And I wouldn't be surprised if Memphis tried to let Joval play one-on-one, which would take away from his assists, right? But if they double, he's gonna get more than 10 for sure. I guess we could go back and look at old tape of a certain game, and I think that you would have to do that in order to play that game. I'm thinking that they're going to play him straight up, and I think that's going to lead to a lot of points and rebounds, but maybe not the assists. This next game, and Tyler, I'd message you in the DMs about it that I was close to taking a stand here, but I did not do it. It's the Miami Heat traveling to Chicago, Chicago was a team I think was undervalued. And I think the market's caught up, and I think it might have swung the other way. And this is getting to be a team that's overvalued. Miami laying 2.5 on the road, and I tell you what, I think that they're the rightful favorites because Miami's a team that can defend, and Chicago cannot. So Chicago's really going to have to outscore you. If Miami can score against this kind of light Chicago defense, they should be able to keep up and get the stops when they need to at the end of the game. Both teams played last night. Of course, Miami traveled, but it could be interesting. Chicago coming off that complete blowout loss to Philadelphia. Travis, what do you think here? Do you like the road favorite, or do you think the home dog Chicago gets it done?
No, I'm definitely with you. I'm going to stay on the Miami Heat with you. It just makes too much sense, right? This team is definitely playing a little bit of catch up as well. When we see Jimmy Butler actually trying mode, like, that's what I want to be on Miami. Like that, yeah. I think it's the right spot to be there. I know there's no Bam, and Bam is big, right? The other thing too is like Wendell Carter Jr. really hates going up against some bigger size centers. So like this might be a bit of a better matchup for him in the props, I'd say. So if you're looking at like a prop, I wouldn't maybe hate looking at some Wendell Carter Jr. overs, but like also keep in mind, like, who's Jimmy Butler going to be guarding, right? He's probably going to get some Levine, right? And Levine is the guy who really drives that ship, right? Kobe White too. He's another guy that he needs to really get going. And I just feel like the Heat are going to have a little too much for the Bulls here in this spot. So I would just lean on kind of playing with Miami here. I don't think I would want to be on the Bulls. You're right. I think they're a bit overvalued, and I think Miami's undervalued for what they have been doing throughout the season. And I think you're going to see them kind of turn it on a bit down this last stretch with the back-to-backs.
All right, Tyler, what do you think of this game? And are you going to go for a fourth under on a total of 220.5?
I got nothing on the total in this game, but I am going to go opposite of you guys.
All right, wow. We want to hear it.
I mean, they did look bad last night against Philly, but that almost kind of could have been the all-star hangover with Levine. I mean, he just played in a scrimmage game, and he's trying to get his feel back for a real game. And when you look at their stats, they're 12-5 against the spread after a loss.
That's good.
Tyler, one last thing I'll say. Zach LaVine was in the All-Star game. Guess who wasn't in the All-Star game?
Jimmy Butler.
Oh yeah, I mean, come on. He's looking at Zach saying, "You were in the All-Star game over me? What?" Like, I mean, I'm just saying, don't mess with Jimmy in those moments.
Oh, I agree there, but I mean, he is going to be on his own again tonight, so he's going to have to do everything. No Bam. I mean, I like Chicago here.
All right, and we love to hear it. We get the opposite sides of each side of the coin here, depending on where you want to go. Is there any players that you're looking at here? I mean, Jimmy Butler at 9,200 with triple-double potential seems like he might want to make it up in the lineup. I think you've already talked me out of LaVine, knowing that he's going to be on there. And then you'd really have to get these other guys in, right? You have to go balanced, right? I mean, to get a Kobe White in at 6,800. I don't want Markkanen at 6,500. Is there any guys that you're going to be putting in this lineup?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not the best spot for these Chicago guys. Like Wendell Carter Jr., he's priced up at 5'9". I don't hate him. He's okay, but like Lauri Markkanen's back, right? They've been banged up for a while, and now they've gained all these guys back. The prices have risen, and now it's like I don't think I want to be on any of these guys. I don't think it's a good spot. So no Chicago for me. It's really mainly looking at Jimmy Butler, who I think is a pretty good play. Kelly Olynyk, who like he's at 5'7", but like people are gonna look at that 5'7" tag and they might even pause and be like, I just got him for cheaper.
It does seem like it's a lot for Olynyk.
It feels like a lot, but spread. If let's say Bam didn't play for a week, that tag might be 6'5". You know what I mean? It might be 6'8", and you would be like, okay, this is uncomfortable. It's like Norman Powell. Norman Powell's price has been going up, and up, and it gets more and more uncomfortable, and the ownership goes down. I just wouldn't. I know Olynyk was owned a ton yesterday. He was like maybe like 40%, 35%, but I wouldn't be shocked if the ownership gets cut in half to like 15 or 20, and like, hey, he's still a good play. I think, especially against the Bulls, we know we can eat them up inside. I really like Kelly O here.
All right, and that's got me thinking. So a guy that burned me last night with a snowflake was Precious. Should I just scratch him off, or do you think there's a bounce back spot for him with the extra minutes available?
Yeah, so it depends what they do. I don't think he's going to I doubt he starts, right?
Because he's not going to start, right?
They started, right? Yeah, and they started Akpala, right, at the 4 last time. Yeah. So I assume they're going to do that again. So I think it's just a decent stay away. You could make a case like, I'm sure Tyler Hero, he's got a pretty good price, right? Tyler Hero is kind of interesting at 5'6". We know he has the upside if he does get going. And this is the type of defense where I could see him really kind of get going a bit. So I think in tournaments, Tyler Hero at 5'6" is a really interesting play that I might take a shot on, especially with the back-to-backs coming up. They have Goran Dragic and bubble wrap, right? Like they will not give him 40 minutes unless they have to. That's why they wait until the postseason. So I wouldn't be shocked if you see Tyler Hero kind of pick up the load a little bit. And I really think at that price tag at 5'6", he's a really good tournament option.
Hey, and to be fair, that strategy worked quite well for them last season, right? I mean, he came alive in the playoffs and was by far the second best player on the team and was just a key cog going into the Western Conference Finals. I see D-Rob in the chat with you on this game, Tyler. So that makes it even now. It's not 2 against 1. It's 2-2. Let's jump into this next game, and that is, this was another one where I was thinking about taking the dog, but I did not pull the trigger yet. The good thing about taking these dogs is I don't think that Orlando's going to take a lot of money, but Orlando's grabbing 7 points in San Antonio, coming off that the sweaty cover last night. I had plus 8.5. They lost by 8, but they kept it close the whole time. Now they're going against the San Antonio team. Might be the quietest 18 and 15 team in the league. I mean, we don't talk about the Spurs too often, but they seem to keep getting it done, especially here at home. So now we got Vukovic heading down there, and he's pretty much the whole team on offense. So I don't think you can overlook him from a DFS perspective. Well, let's start with the betting, and let's start with Tyler. What do you think about Orlando grabbing 7 points against San Antonio with a total of only 214?
I mean, this Orlando team just looks bad right now without Fournier. And now Ross isn't playing either tonight. Mm-hmm. So, again, it's just going to be Vucevic against the Spurs. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I can't back this Orlando team.
But, him. Who's going to stop Vucevic?
That is a good point. I mean, Jakob Poeltl's not going to be much of a defense against them.
Aldridge isn't playing, I don't think.
Yeah, and DeRozan will be out for the Spurs. So, I mean, it does kind of even out. Yeah. But, I mean, the guards for the Spurs should just have a field day on this Orlando team.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Gordon won't play. James Ennis still out. Terrence Ross is confirmed out, and no Fournier either. So, um, you know, it's a tough one. I just don't want to lay more than 7 with this San Antonio team. But what are you thinking, Travis? The return of Devin Vassell, does that push him over the top and give him to cover the 7-point spread?
Yeah, it's tough. Again, like I always mention this on the shows, like we can stay away from a game, right? Like it's okay. We don't have to bet every game on the card. Right. You don't need a 17 parlay tonight. But if you were doing a 17 parlay, you probably want the Spurs money line, right? If you were, if you forced me to pick a lean, right, I would kind of lean the Magic, and I'll give you the reason why. I'm not a big believer in like all these Spurs guys that they have. Obviously, having these young guys, it's obviously nice. You know, Keldon and Murray. I like them. I think they're a good group, and I think it is going to help them in the long run. But they don't have any defense for a guy like a Vucevic, and Clifford is really good at basically grinding out every single minute of a game, right? Like he will do everything he can. Like there'll be 2 minutes left, and Vucevic will still be in the game, and they're down 10, right? When he shouldn't be, and they'll grind it out. So that would force me to lean that side, mainly because of that and that alone. But I don't need to be on this game, right? I do think no LaMarcus Aldridge is better for this team in the long run. I think it is going to be
definitely better. His plus minus was terrible.
Yeah, he's just like absolutely awful. And I don't even know where there's like a fit for him right now. Like I can't think of one that would be. No, we don't need another big man spread.
Los Angeles. He's going to the Lakers. He'll be in purple and gold.
Or return to Portland.
The Portland one's a bad idea too. I mean, if you want more dudes that are washed and can't play defense, sure, go for that.
Let's put them on Portland, then have them play Washington, and see if they go over the 280 total.
He's taking Marc Gasol's spot. We all know that.
Yeah,
that issue is plausible.
But I don't want to touch this game too much, right? Like it is a good point to make. Like in DFS, like so there's Jokic, there's Embiid. Like, dude, Vucevic's gonna have all the usage in the world. We think he's going to do really well. Like, is anyone going to play him in DFS? There are routes where at basically less salary and a way less ownership percentage, there's a chance you could see Philadelphia blows out. Let's say Philadelphia blows out Washington. Let's say Embiid's not part of the blow. Would not shock me at all, right? Let's say that Jokic just kind of has a down game out of nowhere, right? Just shoots poorly. And then you get a Vucevic all to yourself. Like, there's just a lot of leverage opportunity in tournaments to maybe get on a Vucevic. I don't hate it. I definitely prefer Embiid first, then I'd go Jokic, and then I'd go Vucevic. But I think in tournaments, if you are eating chalk in other areas and you want to get different, I don't hate the idea of taking a shot on a Vucevic as it. Or maybe even play both, right? Play an Embiid and a Vucevic, fade a Jokic, or just fade an Embiid and then play Jokic and Vucevic. And man, you have a lot of upside. If that one center disappoints, you could really gain some leverage.
I'll tell you what, Travis, when I think balanced build, I think of the Spurs. I mean, look what we got here on DK. Rudy Gay, 52. Derek White, 4,900. Keldon Johnson, 4,800. Patty Mills, 4,500. Lonnie Walker, 4,400. A lot of options there for not that expensive. If I was going to go that route, of the names I just mentioned, who do you think I should be targeting?
Yeah, so you're 100% right? Like this is like the balanced build I was talking about, right? Getting in some of these guys. Like, how do you avoid DeJounte Murray in this spot with all the usage that he's seeing? He seems like a really good play. Keldon Johnson definitely puts himself into a really nice role, so you don't mind him. And the price tag is good on these guys. Let me pull it up, because I think DraftKings specifically, their prices are really strong. Like, and the reason why is they did not get priced up, right? That was the big thing, because the other day the Aldridge news hit, but they didn't play well. Where I'm trying to find it now. Where is Keldon Johnson?
Oh no, they were so pissed. We all had him on the show Wednesday. Yeah. We decided to only give out one best bet because we all love San Antonio. They cover for 45 minutes of the game and then don't score and forget to play defense the last 3 and blow our cover and lose by like 10 or 11 to Dallas. So definitely not an impressive showing for the Spurs to start after the break.
Yeah, and Keldon, he's 4.8K, right? And Keldon is a part of this future. He's clearly going to be a part of this team. You want to be playing him. I get it. He did not play a ton of minutes the first game, but that's okay, right? You do your best to give it a pass. The one thing I will say about the Spurs that you should kind of think about while you're rostering them. And I know the models are going to pop them into your lineups, but like, how many Spurs is too many Spurs, right? Like you have to think about that. Like if you play Derek White, Murray, and Keldon Johnson all on the same team, I'm obviously not saying that those guys are bad plays, but playing all three together, and like I know models are going to spit them out, and that's going to be one of my big debates. Like, do I actually do this? Like, you got to think about it because it might be. You might want to set a rule when you're making your teams not to put in like 3 Spurs. Like that might be too many. Even 2 might be too many. It's tough. I like Derek White though. I like Keldon Johnson and Murray. Those are probably my 3 favorite options I would be looking at. You can make a case for Podol, like, Podol is going to need to be in there a ton for Vucevic. The problem is it does not fit the slate, right? We have too many good centers. You don't need to mess with Podol. I would pass on that. I'd really be keying in on Derek White, Murray, and Keldon Johnson as my 3 favorite Spurs. And I might even set a rule, maybe not more than 1. I would not be having all 3, I think. That's something I really don't know if I want to mess with. It's Orlando, right? It's not like we're going up against Portland. It's not like we're going up against the Wizards where I think everyone can get there. I can't predict who is going to play for the Spurs and do well, but I think I can predict that playing all 3 together could be a disaster. I don't know if you guys agree.
Yeah. So basically when it comes down to it, you got a lot of good options to fill in your lineup, but you got to choose your Spur wisely. That being said, Tyler, do you want to help us out? A lot of times I like to take your props and just use those guys in my lineup. Do you have any props for this game?
I don't, because there weren't any out when I capped this game earlier. They're still dealing with all the injury news.
That's fair because, wow. I mean, they have to be holding it up just for the Orlando side, right? Because it seems pretty clear-cut who's going to be playing for San Antonio. And other than, like, the 2 old guys, it seems like everybody's going to be in the lineup. Should be a really young, quick lineup there for San Antonio. We'll see how much they miss DeMar DeRozan's leadership towards the end of the game because I feel like he can settle them down in those half-court sets and get hit those dreaded mid-range jumpers that may suck for the analytics, but when you have a 2-point lead and less than a minute to go, they seem to be a little more valuable than maybe the analytics community gives them credit for. Let's move on to the next game. And this is going to be a DFS heavy game, right? There's not much to talk about. Tyler, I mentioned you. Should I take the 13.5 last night? I think I messaged you about 9 my time, 12 your time last night. Well, if I wanted CLV, I should have because this game is now 17.5. If I remember right, I think this is the largest spread we've seen this season. I could be wrong. I'm just going off the top of my head. I didn't look it up or anything. But 17.5. I mean, I almost feel like this team loses by 20, but obviously that's way too many points to lay. And the total here is 228. What are your thoughts on this game, Tyler? And I mean, I don't think anyone's going to play the spread here unless you want to take the Rockets.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the only way you can look at this game. I mean, 17 is just such a huge number.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be up by 25, and then they just take their foot off the gas, win the game by 16. So I'm staying away from the side. On the total, I'd probably lean over. I mean, both these teams like to get up and down and shoot threes. But, I mean, Houston's just throwing up bricks lately. They're only making like 9 threes a game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think if Utah starts hitting threes, they're just going to run them off the floor.
Yeah, I mean, they even made the Kings look good last night. So that's pretty bad. For this Houston team. I see our guy in the chat, Bubba Wallace, talking about Kevin Porter Jr. all day. He had a little fire next to his name, and I had him in the lineups last night. Travis, maybe just quick thoughts on the side and total, and then going to this DFS slate, because I think there's a ton of options in this game, right?
Yeah, definitely a ton to talk about. So I don't need to bet this game. Like I'm good. Like I don't know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be all over the place, right? You can make a case like for a prop, right? Like I don't know how Utah's going to do it, but I pulled up their schedule. They play Golden State on Sunday, and like Golden State has said, like teams are still kind of like coming for our throats. Like when they see us on the schedule, they still want to like just destroy us. And like, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Utah towards the end of the game kind of like were a little easier on their guys. They play on Sunday. But Utah has been a team where they have not cared, right? Like they're up 20 and they still got guys in there. But the Rockets might be a little bit of a different scenario. Like I understand playing the Lakers and like being up like 18 with 4 minutes left and being like, let's close this out so we don't blow it because this game matters. This game actually matters for seeding. But yeah, I think that you can make a case in DFS on the Jazz side for like a Jordan Clarkson could make a good case, right? A guy that can really clean up in the garbage time. Those are kind of the guys I'd look at. Even a Rudy Gay, I think, could really just destroy like really easily with all the rebounds he could feast up. He also doesn't take a lot of work for him to do much. And it could be a matchup where they just throw it to him a lot down low and he absolutely destroys all game long. So those are kind of 2 guys I'm looking at. Donovan Mitchell's probably too pricey. I'd rather just go to a Jimmy Butler instead. But the Rocket side, it's a gold mine, right? Like we need to be playing all these guys in our lineups, it feels like. No, I'm not expecting John Wall to play, right? They called up Mason Jones. I'm pulling it up now, the Rockets. So obviously Kevin Porter Jr., he's going to be someone. He'll be on my, Run Pure Sports content. I'll be all over him. I was on him yesterday. Talked about him in the Discord chat. Definitely got to be loading up on him at 3.2K. Feels like a good spot for a Sterling Brown. He's not afraid to shoot the ball, right? He will shoot the rock. And hey, Utah's a team that they are good inside, and you want to have dudes that are not afraid to shoot. So I don't mind going to him. Ben McLemore, another dude that is willing to shoot the rock at 3.5K. Definitely in play. You need to consider him. I mean, they have no Wall, no Oladipo, no Eric Gordon. Jones is not on the slate. He will be playing, so you cannot roster him. Worth noting, DraftKings does not have his stuff out there. I don't think it's...
Wait. Say that again?
Jones is not on the slate, right? Like, they just don't have his salary, Mason
How often
Jones.
does that happen?
It happens with guys that get kind of called up out of nowhere. They've had this issue with the Rockets, like this season so far, and I think Jones specifically. So you just can't go to their team, Houston, and be like, how many bodies do they have, and count them? Like, because that'll get you in trouble, because there is no Jones on DraftKings today.
Got it. Okay.
It doesn't happen all the time, but occasionally. But I think it's Porter Jr. is my number one guy in this game I would be going to. Also, you got to what's his name? KJ Martin Jr. That's the guy, right? He played 32 minutes, was pretty decent, right? Sure, Sacramento is a spot where you can get rebounds, get blocks. It's going to be a little bit of a tougher matchup for a guy like KJ Martin, but he is 3K. He's the flat minimum, and there's a huge difference when you're looking at guys that are 3K and 4K. Like, sure, Justin Patton's fine at 4.9K. Like, I like him. I think he's going to put up some points today, but the difference between 4.9K and 3K, that can go a long way. That's the difference between Donovan Mitchell and Joel Embiid, right? That's the difference between, if you look on the slate, let's say like a 6K guy. Let's go to the 6K range. Mike Conley, 6'4", or you can get, for 8'4", you can get Jamal Murray, which maybe not the best example. Tobias Harris is probably a better one because Jamal Murray's been pretty priced up, but that 2K does go a long way in DFS at times, where I think that I'd rather be playing KJ Martin instead of a Justin Patton. So if I rank these guys, I think Kevin Porter Jr. is my number one. I would say, I think I'd go with KJ Martin as my number two. I'd probably say there's a chance Ben McLemore is my number three, and then Brown is my number four. But it depends on how much salary I need. It's a day where we're going to have a lot of salary relief, and you're going to want to jam Rockets in your lineup. And sure, you might be frustrated at the end of the first half. You might be like, oh, KJ Martin has 6. Like, how does he have 6? And then, of course, garbage time happens. It's an absolute blowout. And KJ Martin, he hits 2 3-pointers. He gets a block and a steal. And, then you're just absolutely home. Like, do not tilt these 3K guys early on. It's the fourth quarter is going to be the same as the first quarter. It's not like a guy like Russell Westbrook, where if it's a blowout, he's not going to play the entire, fourth quarter. These guys are going to play the entire game. It's just going to happen, and they're going to be in evaluation mode, and you want to load up on these Rockets.
All right. Well, yeah, I was just, throwing him in a lineup there. And if you roll with 2 or 3 Rockets, you're going to have plenty of money on the slate.
It's worth mentioning spread. So I think it makes sense in cash games to jam in a lot of these Rockets. You can make a case to only maybe play 2 or 3, and then maybe fill out some mid-tier guys, because that's going to give you a more unique build, right? Like, everyone's going to have Embiid, right? Spread, you just threw in some Rockets. It's really easy to get an Embiid, right? So
really easy.
Yeah, so maybe it's also easy to get Embiid if you put Embiid in only 2 Rockets, and then maybe build from there in tournaments, right? Because that's going to give you a little bit of a different path than some other people. You're trying to get to the top of tournaments and take that money down by yourself, spread. And if I told you everyone was doing one thing, you don't want to follow them, right? You might want to just get a little bit different. And I don't know what the number is on how many Rockets you're supposed to have in your lineup yet, and we have more injury news that could come. But that's just definitely something to look at and think about while you're building out your lineups.
All right, but what I've learned from this is more Rockets than Spurs on today's slate. Seems like the way to go on the build. And speaking of the build,
and by the way, Fred, it's never a bad idea to be more of a different team than the Spurs, because the Spurs are always a disaster. That's like a great rule of thumb.
I know. Greg Popovich is not your daily fantasy friend. Let's go on to the last game of the night, the TNT game. NBA TV game. It starts at 10:30 Eastern. It's the Indiana Pacers. And is Karis LeVert? This isn't the game he comes back, right? Though, but he's been cleared. But he's not going to be out there tonight.
Saturday. He'll be back Saturday, which will be super fun. It'll be terrible for DFS, but I'm super excited for Karis LeVert and this Pacers team. They're going to be scary, man. I mean, I don't know when they're getting TJ Warren back, but This team's going to be a good team.
There's rumors that he might not even make it back. I mean,
I don't think he does. I'm very worried about that injury.
Yeah.
It was like
I would actually be high on the Pacers as kind of like a sleeper team going into the playoffs if they got both those guys.
Yeah,
even with just LeVert, they should be able to hang, especially offensively, because it makes them so much more dynamic.
Yeah, agree 100%.
All right, but he will not be there tonight, so we'll keep that in the mind as we're handicapping them against the Los Angeles Lakers, who are missing Anthony Davis. But we'll have some Dennis Schrader tonight, right? I mean, he was the one that they were really missing. I'm seeing Dudley probable, Kuzma probable, Damian Jones probable, Caruso probable, Gasol's out, and LeBron James is always probable, and one of Giannis's brothers is probable. But other than that, Indiana's got a clean injury report. They're getting 4.5 against this Lakers team, who I thought they were going to be pretty easy to fade, but they finished going into the All-Star break pretty strong. What do you think, Tyler? Are you taking the 4.5 points in this game? And what do you think of the total here at 216.5?
Yeah, it's a dog or pass for me on this one. I mean, the Lakers are still beat up with no AD. I mean, once Schroeder came back, they did look better. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, this is a team now that's bringing in big men that can play down low, and that's where LA has a weakness. Like, Sabonis should just feast today.
That's what I was thinking, too.
Yeah, he should just dominate in the paint. LA should have no answer for him. And that should just open up spots for like guys like Holiday and Brogdon to shoot open threes. So, I mean, yeah, give me the plus 4.5 in this spot. And I'd lean under. I think this could be a similar pace game.
I hope AP, I know that AP's busy right now, but I hope he watches this just because we need to get one of those YouTube reaction videos of every time you pick an under of just watching him, watching his brain explode, because you guys would have definitely been opposite on a lot of games today. I know that AP loves his Friday overs. So Tyler likes the dog and the points, and I was thinking about spending up for Sabonis. What do you think of those two ideas there, Travis?
Yeah, so in DFS, it's worth mentioning. I want to pull up FanDuel specifically. So, like, if you look on FanDuel, every night you have to play two power forwards. Like, they are on the winning team. It does not matter. There's always two power forwards because that's what construction is, right? So, like, it makes things difficult sometimes. Like the other night on that 2-game slate where you had to play Porzingis, it was like, I don't want to play Porzingis, but like, what am I going to play?
He ended up doing pretty good that night too, right?
I think so. I can't even remember. I know I didn't play as much on Wednesday. Or
it was
I think it was Wednesday. Yeah, it was a weird night, and like a lot of my stuff didn't fill, and then I ended up backing out and playing more tournaments. But it's a day where I look at the power forward position and I see Sabonis' price at 8.9, and I'm like, I honestly think I might want to go to him. Now, Tobias Harris went up from 6.9 to 7.8, which I didn't think it would be that aggressive of a move. But power forward's a really bad position. And if I have a lot of salary, and I talked about like power forward with the Rockets, I don't have KJ Martin there, right? Like the only power forwards in the Rockets you can play are Jayshawn Tate at 4.7, which I'm still lukewarm on what I want to do with Jayshawn Tate today. But 4.7, he might be that other power forward I plug in there. You have to play two. It's a rough position. So I think Sabonis is a spend up over there at 8.9K is a really good option. On DraftKings, his price tag, I believe Sabonis' price is a little tougher to stomach. He is 9.9K, right? Like, I don't know if I want to spend that, but you can make a case in tournaments for that. I just don't think I need to go that route. He is power forward and center eligible. I get it, but I don't know if I want to do that. It's more of a tournament play for sure because you are going to get him a little under-owned. Miles Turner's price, he could fit that middling build if you wanted to. I don't need to go there, though. It's 6.3K. I think there's other options I'd rather go to. I don't need a Malcolm Brogdon. I don't know what else really to go to. I mean, TJ McConnell's price has gone up a bit. I know he's been like a steals guy. I don't know if there's like a Dennis Schroeder's turnovers prop somewhere out there. Maybe you could make a case for that because he's going to have to carry a heavier load and he'll get some TJ McConnell on him, who's been like a stealing machine this season. But I just think it's mainly Sabonis on FanDuel or pass for me. I don't want to load up too much. I know LeBron talked about how it's go time for him now. I want to see it to believe it with the minutes, right? The minutes haven't really gone up.
Doesn't he always say that?
Yes, that's what I mean. It's always like it's. I mean, he's probably
the year they didn't make it, right? He said it's time for playoff LeBron or something, and then he shut it down with a groin injury like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, so like that's again, like I said, I want to see it to believe it. I wouldn't be shocked if he says that in Space Jam too. It's go time. It's playoff LeBron, or I'm turning my social media off. So I want to see it, right? So let's wait a game or two and see if the minutes are trending upward. If the minutes are trending upward, sure, I'll be on it. But if you look at spend up options, I want to go to Embiid. I want to go to Jokic, all these other guys. There's so many better spend ups today than going to LeBron. I guess you could make the case on FanDuel probably because small forward sucks. So if you have all this value, you might just fall into it. Like, let's see, where are the Rockets positioned today? Well, you have Kevin Porter Jr. at 4.9. You got Kenyon Martin at 3.5. So you will probably have more of a position where you don't have to go to a LeBron James today. And if I was spending up, am I going to spend 10-9 on LeBron, or am I going to spend 9-6 on Jimmy Butler? I'm going to spend 9-6 on Jimmy Butler. Give me Jimmy over LeBron straight up all day.
What about Jimmy over Sabonis?
Yeah, I think I want Jimmy over Sabonis too on DK. Like, I get a nice little salary saving. Like, if I look at this 9K range, I just think Jimmy ends up becoming my guy. It's like if I look at all the 9K guys, you got Zion, we talked about, Butler, Levine, Beal. You can make a case for Beal, but again, off the injury and Sabonis, it's like if I have a 9K guy, I'm plugging in Jimmy and I'm getting the savings too at 9,200 off some of these other guys who are pricier. So yeah, give me Jimmy all day against the terrible Chicago Bulls defense.
All right. Tyler, did you have any props for this game? Are they out yet, or are they lagging on this one too?
I would just target Sabonis rebounds and points over in this one. I think he just dominates this game.
I mean, and again, making a case to put him in the lineup. So, boy, this is going to be so fantastic and fascinating to see how it all shakes out tonight. So, hey, I think that's a lot of great information that you guys have given out, especially on the DFS builds. And we know Tyler's props are always money. So let's go to – too bad our guy, Greg Russo, is not in the chat today, because this is the segment specifically built for him. And that's the best bets, getting rid of all the talking and the analysis, right?
And it's a rough card, too. Like, there weren't a lot of, bets I loved today. So Greg would probably
I really did think it was a hard slate. I even – had mentioned Tyler last night that when I ran my model, I jumped on the live show. Jay, I got off, ran the model, and most of the lines seemed right, except for that Utah line. But I don't really trust my number on Houston to begin with, and the Philly line. But same deal. It's like with the way the team's currently constructed, I don't think you can accurately model how this team's going to perform. So you really just have to go on your NBA knowledge for those two games. But, so the model's not going to help you here, guys. You're going to have to just dig in and take a stand and make some picks. So let's start with you, Tyler. Best bet on the board, side, total, or prop?
This is a tough one. Looking at it, though, probably going to have to take Chicago plus 2.5.
Wow. Oh, wow. Going against me and Mangone. Okay. Well, I love it. And, that's why we do this. Even the best only hit at 55%. So you never know how these games could fall. And I think that you did make a lot of good points for Chicago when we were breaking down the game. Travis, what's your best bet?
Yeah, part of me wants to say Miami, but I'm not going to do that. I'll let Tyler have what he wants. Of course, we got to let people tail, and you can. I'm against Tyler today, though. I don't think I could be. I like that under on the Washington-Philadelphia game. Okay. I think we have some value if Beal does sit. I love those kind of bets, right? Where you can find an angle where you think it's really good for you. It's good for you, basically with the situation, and then it kind of gets better. I think that's the way I would play it. And I wouldn't hate, and I'm not going to put this as a best bet, but I figured I'd mention it. I wouldn't hate betting the Sixers first quarter, mainly because Embiid gets a really nice rotation in that first quarter. That is something I've noticed has been pretty profitable throughout the year. He gets that full 10 minutes, right? And that's really good for Embiid. So I think that you can make a case to bet that the Sixers first quarter, if you can get a decent line, you might be able to get a 1.5 or something like that. So I wouldn't hate doing that, but I'm leaning on going with the under there. What do you have right now, spread? Is it 234.5?
I just placed it at 234 at Bookmaker right now.
All right, yeah, so we'll go with that. 234, I'm on that under. I think there's a lot of ways that can get there for us, and you got to learn to love unders, right? So let's go with the under there.
Yeah, and there's a certain amount of poetic irony for you stepping in for AP today and then giving out an under.
that's the way you got to do it. It's perfect, perfect for the show.
Yeah, we got some entertainment factors coming in too. And they say some of the best bets are the ones that are toughest to make. I'm going to go ahead and live up to that motto tonight. I'm going to take the Cleveland Cavaliers plus 7.5 against the New Orleans Pelicans. I just think this game is going to be closer than that line. I think it could be close. I could even see Cleveland get an upset. I think the return of Larry Nance is going to be huge because when you come back, sometimes your shooting stroke can be off, but defense, I think, is just there. I don't think you necessarily need to be in the rhythm or in the zone to play defense. So Nance comes back. He brings a nice defensive burst there. And I really like the way that Cleveland's going to be able to operate on the on the wings there with Sexton and Garland. Of course, making this bet, I'm hoping that they play, and that's part of the problem about doing this show in the morning, which leads us into the great things that we got going on in the evening here at Run Pure Sports, and that's they're not guessing, they're taking the news, they're going right up to a lock. So go on over, join Run Pure Sports. You can hang out with Holden JSU all the way up to lock. Then after that, if you're a member, you're going to be able to flip right over to see Jay, the Sports Keg live, and I think Coop's going to be on with them tonight because it's a NASCAR, but they're going to be live betting college basketball, NBA, and the Infinity Truck Series, and they've been doing fantastic in NASCAR. Jay's going to be live on all weekend for the members of Run Pure Bets team. He's been absolutely crushing the NASCAR. We got a great UFC card. His knowledge on the UFC is second to none, and there's nothing more fun than hanging out with the guys, sweating the fights, and knowing that if you just don't study the UFC like me, right? You just show up on Saturday. You can take the Nets bets from the most knowledgeable person and know that you're placing a sharp wager and enjoying the fights at the same time. So please head on over to runpuresports.com, runpurebets.com. Our code is bets25 off. Your guys is what? Workbench 21?
Yeah, Workbench 21 gets you 25% off your first payment. So head on over, check that out. We also have tons of shows today, right? We have the, I think it's a later lock, right? It's 8 o'clock. So JSU, they're going to be on at 7:15. That is a premium show. You check that out. You go to Run Pure Sports, hit media, hit the live stream, and you watch it there. But on the YouTube channel, you will have AP, Hoop, and Big T. They will be breaking down the slate tonight for DFS. You got to check that out. That'll be at 5:30 start time. Free show, so awesome time. You got to check that out. Also wanted to mention, hey, like get in that Discord chat, right? If you become a member, there's tons of value in being in that chat. We are answering your questions all the way up to lock. It's definitely so much news is coming in the NBA. And listen, like people want to say, oh, second half of the NBA, it should be a lot cleaner. It's going to be a disaster. There's going to be so many things that happen. And if you're playing DFS, like, I hate to say it, but like you need to kind of like be there and like grinding it out. And like you kind of need to like, I get it. Not every night, like you need to like just be able to set and forget. But like if you're sitting there grinding it out and like news comes and hits, and you can get a huge edge. You can get a guy that like if the news hit at like, let's say it hit at like 12 p.m., right? That like John Wall is going to be out. Well, now everyone's on these Rockets. If that news hits at like 8:30 and the slate's already locked, you can get guys under own that would have been super high owned and get a huge edge on the field. And that's what we're offering you in that Discord chat. You guys are in the Discord chat giving out betting winners. There's so much value in being in it. If you are a big sports junkie, you got to get on over to Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets and join the community and just dive in. It's such a great time.
Right. And as cool as that GIF is of Jon Snow going against the whole army, when it comes to the DFS and these bets, you don't want to be one guy going against the whole army. You want to join the team. You can't watch every basketball game. So we got guys that got eyes on every game, right? Tyler might be watching the Memphis game tonight. I could be watching the Cleveland game. You can get in there, ask questions, see what's going on, and you want to be going to war with the team. You don't want to be going to war by yourself, and that's what happens when you become a member of Run Pure. So thank you guys for joining us. You guys have anything else before we get out of here?
No,
that's it for me.
With the winners.
I got to say, I love that you jumped in and gave out an under on the day that AP is usually on the show. So Tyler and I will be back tomorrow. I'll figure out what's going on for Sunday, but we're going to be on all next week. We're going to be doing the NBA rundowns for the rest of the season. So thank you guys very much for hanging out. Please like and subscribe.